Good evening, my students. So, today this is the fourth video of module 3, and in this fourth and probably another one video would be required to complete this part of module 3, which is communication interface. Communication interface is the last concept that is related to module 3 that will be covering in module 3. So, the communication interface refers to the bus or the channel, communication channel that is present in the embedded system. So, we have two different types of communication interface in embedded system. One is known as onboard interface and the other one is known as external interface, and I have listed down the onboard interface channels that will be, or onboard interface types or protocols that we will be studying, and also the external protocols, interface protocols that we will be studying in the module 3. So, let us begin with the onboard communication interface. Onboard communication interface is the communication channel or the bus interface that is interconnecting various components or various components that are present in the embedded system along with a processing unit. So, here the components may be in the form of integrated circuits. So, integrated circuits and other peripherals connected within the embedded system. This communication channel is known as onboard communication interface. So, there are 5 different types of onboard communication interface that we will be studying. So, let us begin and see one by one each communication interface. So, the first communication interface that we will be studying is called as inter-integrated circuit bus, or also known as I2C. So, inter-integrated circuit bus I2C. This is basically a synchronous communication bus. When I say synchronous, that means there is a requirement of a clock pulse to synchronize the transmission, and it is bidirectional. When I say bidirectional, mean to say that we can do a read as well as write operation through this communication bus. So, and it is a half duplex. Half duplex in the sense that only one thing at a time can be done. So, we can say that I2C is a synchronous bidirectional half duplex communication bus. This communication bus basically consists of 2 wires or 2 bus lines, and those bus lines are named as SCL, serial clock bus line, and SDA, which is a serial data bus line. Serial clock SCL is responsible for generating synchronized clock pulses. This will be a time reference for this bus. And SDA line, that is serial data line, is responsible for transmission and reception of data based on whether it is a read function or a write function across the devices. Now, we can have a master slave configuration using I2C, and the master slave configuration, in the sense there will be one master, probably the master may be a processor or a controller or a processing unit that is being used in embedded system, which is going to control or interface different peripherals. So, these different peripherals can be slaves. Okay. So, the master is the one which is responsible to control the communication. When I say controlling of the communication, that means this is the one which is responsible for initializing the data transfer or stopping the data transfer, doing the actual data transfer in case if it is a read and write based on that. So, and also for generating the clock pulses, the SCL line, generation of clock pulses and transmission through SCL line will be the responsibility of master device here, and the slave will await for the commands that is to be given from the master and will respond accordingly. So, this is the basic view. So, let us see one of the example of the master slave configuration through I2C protocol. So, this is the master slave configuration. As I said, you have in this example we have seen one master may be a microprocessor or a controller, and we have taken example of 2 slaves that are connected to the bus. So, you can see the bus here. So, I2C bus has SCL, that is serial clock line, and SDA, that is serial data line connected, and those lines are given to the port pins of master as well as slave devices. So, slave devices, 2 peripherals we have taken into consideration, E square memory, E square PROM, and another one device. The device can be anything. Okay. So, 2 slave we have considered. Now, how does the communication or data transfer occurs? What are the sequence of operations that occurs using I square C, that we will see one by one. Now, if the master wants to initiate actual data transfer through this bus, what all are the sequence of operation that happens? So, initially the master will be initiating the SCL line, that is serial clock line, and it will assert it to high, and the clock pulse will be passed on through this SCL line. Then the master device later on what it does is that it will assert the SDA, that is serial data line, into low. Now when SCL is high, clock line is high and data line is low, this condition gives an intimation that the data transfer start operation is going to occur, or starting of data transfer is going to occur. Now the next thing what the master does is, after asserting SCL to low and SCL to high and SDA to low, what does the next thing that the master does? Master now, since we have taken into consideration here there are 2 slaves that are connected, so master will send across the address of the slave device to which it wants to connect or wants to initiate the data transfer. So the address is being sent. Now from where does the address being sent? The address is being sent through serial data line, and based on the slave which he wants to connect, the address will denote the slave with which it wants to make a connection. So that is the next thing that the master does. Later it indicates, master sends across a bit 1 or 0. Now bit 1 or 0 here indicates whether it wants to initiate a read operation or a write operation. So if a bit value of 1 is being sent through SDA, that means it wants to initiate a read operation, and a bit value 0 when it sends, that means it wants to initiate a write operation. Okay. Now this is what the master does. Later, now master awaits for the response from the slave. So now master has sent across the address as well as the bit information, whether it wants to initiate a read operation or a write operation. Okay. So now the master is awaiting for the slave device to get connected. Now whosoever's address is matched with the slave device, that slave device gets connected and the data transfer is initiated. Now how does the data transfer gets initiated, or how does the slave say that it is ready for data transfer? When the slave device asserts the acknowledgement beat. Suppose, let me say that the address that was sent across was slave 1, and now slave 1 is getting connected to master. Now slave 1 wants to acknowledge that it is ready for the data transfer. Then slave 1 asserts the bit value, or sends across a bit value 1 as an acknowledgement bit from the SDA line of slave device. Okay. So this is the acknowledgement bit from the slave device. Upon receiving, when the master receives 1 from the slave device 1, then the actual data transfer starts. So here the data transfer write means, if it is a write device, write means what is going to happen is the communication is between master and slave for write or read based on that log. Okay. Now after the actual data transfer is over, how does the data transfer, if data transfer wants to be stopped, then what is the procedure? So the last sequence of operation that occurs is that if master wants to terminate the transfer, then the SDA line, which was initially low, is asserted to high. So when SDA line is asserted to high, that initiates or that says that the data transfer is complete and it wants to terminate the data transfer between the slave 1. We have taken an example that is connected with slave 1. So now the data transfer is over. So the stop operation is indicated by SDA, making SDA line of master as high. So these are the sequence of operation that occurs in a master slave configuration of I square C. Okay. So let us now see the next kind of communication interface called as serial peripheral interface, also known as SPI. So SPI is also a protocol, a synchronous bidirectional protocol, but it's a full duplex protocol. Now previously what we had was a half duplex protocol. That means only one operation can occur at a time, but the difference between the I square C and SPI is a full duplex. When we say full duplex, that means write and read operation can occur parallelly. So how does it occur, or what makes it possible? In the previous I square C we had only 2 wires, whereas here you can see that there are 4 wires that are there for the data transfer. Okay. The 4 signal lines that are there are, we have master out, slave in, that means the data transfer occurs from the master to the slave. So that in case if the data transfer is supposed to be from master to slave, then the data is sent across through this line. Okay. And if the data transfer has to occur from the slave to the master device, then master in slave out signal or data line is used. Then we have a serial clock and we have a slave select line. Now slave select line is the one which now previously we had to send across the address to interface between the slave. Here there is no need of sending the address. Slave select line is one which select line that selects the slave accordingly. Okay. If we send across a low signal to the required slave select line, then that slave is connected with the master. So let us see with an example. So what happens, the sequence of operation that happens when we want to communicate using SPI, serial peripheral interference. So as we said that there are 4 lines, so you can see that master out slave in line, clock line, and master in slave out line. Then here also we have taken example of 2 slave devices that are connected with the master, and we have slave select line 1 and slave select line 2. Suppose if I want to select the slave 1, then what the master will do is it will send across the low signal, or it will send bit 0 to SS1 line. So here the slave slave 1 will understand that that is the connection the data transfer master is wanting to do with slave 1. Okay. So if here the address of slave is eliminated and slave select line is being used. Okay. As usual, the master is responsible for generating the clock pulse. So initially the clock pulse will be sent across through SCL and the data transfers, and select next step is to select the slave. So obviously, as I have already mentioned, low signal will be sent across to the slave select line which it wants to connect. Okay. And then how the data transfer gets occurred. Now that the slave 1 and master is connected, how the data transfer occurs. So there is a shift register in serial peripheral interface. There is a shift register that's present in master as well as slave devices, and the data transmission occurs in this shift register. Okay. Suppose we want to transmit, that means during the transmission, if you want to transmit the data from master to slave, then the shift register, the data that is present in the shift register of master is being sent across to the shift register of the slave through the line. What is the line that will be here? We have to use the line master out and slave in, because we are sending it from the master to the slave. So the data transfer will occur from MOSI line to the shift register of, from the shift register of master to the shift register of slave. Similarly, during reception, the data transfer will occur from the slave shift register to the master shift register, but which is the line that is being selected here? The line the data transmission occurs is in master in, slave out, that is MISO, MISO line. Here the data transfer occurs. So this is how the sequence of operation occurs in serial peripheral interference. Okay. Now the next kind of onboard interference is asynchronous type. Asynchronous type in the sense, now previous two were the synchronous type communication protocol, but this is asynchronous type communication protocol where clock pulse is not, or there is no clock pulse reference for the operation. So no clock pulse is required for the synchronization here. The third one what we are going to see is UART, very popular communication interface called as UART, Universal Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter. So here the data transmission occurs in the form of streams of data. Okay, what happens here is, suppose if we have a transmitter UART and a receiving UART, then the transmitter, this transmit line of the sending device has to be connected with the receive line of the receiving device. Similarly, the transmitting, if the other UART has that, then transmit line should be connected to receive line of the receiving device. So this is the connection that needs to be done for the transmission. Okay. Now how does the data transmission occurs? Of course, the data transmission occurs through the stream of data. And how do we get to know whether the data is being transmitted or not? There in the stream of data, there will be a special bit that is inserted in the stream of data, which indicates whether it's a stop or start of the data. There is a special start bit and a special stop bit which indicates the data transmission. So nowadays what happens is, in microprocessor we have UART readily available. So it's a built-in UART is available in microprocessor, and it comes it can also be, UART can also be obtained as an integrated circuit. So this is the third simple interface protocol, that is onboard interface protocol, UART. Next we have one wire interface. One wire interface is also a asynchronous communication protocol, and it's a half duplex asynchronous communication protocol. As name suggests, it's a one wire interface. That means we have only one wire that is used in this communication protocol, and that wire is known as DQ. That wire is known as DQ. And here also we can have a master and a slave configuration. We can have a single master and multiple slaves, the distinguishing feature between one wire interface is that it is not only used for the signal transmission, but this can also be used for power transmission. Now in case if we are using one wire interface as a power transmission line, then in that case a capacitor has to be internally incorporated. So that is one additional arrangement that needs to be done in case if we want to use one wire interface as a power sending interface. Okay. Let us see what is the sequence of operation that occurs in one wire interface. So as previous examples also, here also we are going to take one master, that's a processor or a controller, and two slaves we have we are considering. And as I said, the DQ line, that is only a single line, is being connected or used for communication. So what it does initially? Now initially the master device initially sends across a reset pulse through the DQ line. Now whenever it sends across a reset pulse, that means that it wants to initiate a communication channel with the slave. So here whichever slaves are available, they will send across a presence beat. So this is called as presence beat or presence pulse. So the slaves will indicate that they are present for the communication interface. So if slave 1 is available, slave 2 is available, they will send across the presence beat. So master acknowledges the presence bit and then sends across the address of the slave device to which it wants to get connected. So the address may be, let us take an example as previously, the address may be of a slave 1. So it's sent across, so the address is being received by slave 1 as well as slave 2, because both have sent across a presence bit saying that they are present for communication. Now slave 1 gets the address and it matches with its address. So slave 1 and master is being connected. Now even all this communication is occurring only through a single line, that is DQ. And then later on, after the connection is made, the master sends the read and write function command, whether it wants to go ahead with the read operation or the write operation. Based on the read or write, the direction of the data transmission will be fixed. And the read and write operation occurs in the internal register or the memory of either the master or the slave, based on whether it's a read operation or a write operation. And as and when the control function of read and write is acknowledged, then the actual data transfer is initiated through DQ. These are the sequence of operation that occurs in one wire interface. The last communication interface, onboard communication interface that we have is parallel interface, and the parallel interface is very popular, and these days we are using parallel interface only. You will see that most of the cases we are using in embedded system, we are using parallel interface. Now what happens is, parallel interface can be used only if the peripheral devices that are connected in the embedded system are memory mapped. Okay, so that is very important. Parallel interface we can use only in case if these peripheral devices that we are using are memory mapped. Then of course we have data bus lines, address lines, and the control signals. Control signals are read and write control signals that are there. So here, through the control signals, whether the read is initiated or the write is initiated based on the address of the peripheral which it wants to make the connection with. If the master wants to make a connection with any of the peripheral, then the address is sent across through address bus, and then the address is decoded because it's memory map. So address is decoded, and accordingly the peripheral is selected, and through the data bus the data transmission occurs. This is a very simple. I hope you remember that any hardware interface that we have studied in microprocessor follows the same parallel interface procedure. Okay, so this is all about the onboard communication interface that we have studied. We have studied 5 onboard communication interface, I2C. Then we have gone ahead and seen SPI, that is serial peripheral interface, UART, one wire interface, and parallel. Each can be asked as a separate question, or combination of 2 can be asked for 8 marks. So this is what we have for today. In the next video we will see external communication interface. Thank you.